Welcome to Sports Scene. USC Football is at a crossroads after their first loss away at Illinois in Urbana-Champaign to a heartbreaking game-winning field goal, leading to a storm field. This USC Football team is going to have to move forward. We'll talk more about that upcoming. In addition, the LA Dodgers have a huge home playoff series that started last night. We'll talk the top plays and the top storylines from that game upcoming. USC women's basketball had some heartbreaking news as of recent. We'll discuss how their team is able to move forward and what players are going to have to step up in the future. USC women's soccer had a huge homestand at Rawlinson Stadium with two huge wins this past week, led by many star players that we'll talk about upcoming forward. There is so much news going on in the USC world, in the LA world. It is packed. All of that and way more upcoming live here from our studio on Sports Scene.
Good afternoon, Trojans, and welcome to Sports Scene. My name is Nia Satterfield-Brown.
And I'm Nolan Ezett. The MLB playoffs are in full swing. Adam, how are the Dodgers doing so far?
Well, Nolan, the Dodgers offense exploded last night against the Reds, going for 10 runs. The Stars were out for LA, and Dodger Stadium was rocking. The explosion started in the first at-bat of the game for the Dodgers, with Shohei Ohtani rocketing a 118-mile-per-hour rope to right field. They finally broke the game open when Teoscar Hernandez hit a 3-run no-doubt bomb, followed by a Tommy Edman solo shot the next at-bat. Blake Snell shoved on the mound with a Game 1 masterclass, throwing 9 strikeouts, all while pitching 7 innings, only giving up 2 runs. On the other hand, the Reds starter, Hunter Green, had a disaster of a start, being pulled after just 3 innings, giving up 5 earned runs in that frame.
This series should be done after tonight. I mean, we have Yamamoto on the bump. Hopefully he goes 7+ innings tonight, continuing a streak. Offense looked really good last night, but in the long-term run, the bullpen, man.
I think going forward, their bullpen's the biggest issue. If we get into a close game, we're going to have to rely on some pitchers that have not been very well.
Cincinnati looks overmatched. They would have had a tougher time with the Mets, I think.
When looking at the highlights, it seems like it was a perfect day for the Trojans, but most fans left the stadium with a sour taste in their mouth. The Dodgers bullpen has been a topic for discussion for a while now, and they almost blew it again. Nolan, what can we expect going forward with this unit?
Well, I think this is the story that we all kind of knew from last season, and especially this year. It's a great offense. I mean, it's obviously the best offense on paper, and even in terms of performance, I would say they're the best. But yeah, that bullpen is a huge flaw in the team. I think right now, obviously the Dodgers are the best team in this matchup, but as they get farther into the playoffs, assuming they do move on, you're going to face tougher opponents, and at some point, you're going to have to get it together. So it's going to be a struggle at some point.
Yeah, and Nia, how about you? How do you think the Dodgers are going to be going forward for the rest of the playoffs?
Well, honestly, I'm not rooting for the Dodgers. And, I'm a Yankees fan. You guys know I'm from New York. So hopefully, they fall out of the competition and they're sent home early.
Yeah, that
Go
was
Yankees.
that was a tough loss for the Yankees last night. We'll see if they can bounce back in Game 2. But for the Dodgers, it certainly is a rocky situation going forward. With the win last night, LA can clinch a date with the Phillies in the NLDS tonight, back at Dodger Stadium, led by Cy Young candidate Yoshinobu Yamamoto. A huge USC star just dropped some major news. Nia has more.
Star USC women's basketball player Juju Watkins announced on social media that she'd be missing the 2025-26 season to recover from an ACL injury. Watkins tore her ACL during the second round of the NCAA tournament in March. Her knee buckled on a fast break play as she drove towards the basket. She plans to return next season stronger than ever. Juju was iconic for the Trojans last season, not just leading the team in scoring, but also winning so many awards, from AP National Player of the Year to Big Ten Female College Athlete of the Year and even Conference Player of the Year. Her presence will surely be missed this season.
So I was really excited to see Juju play this year, but I really do think it's the best decision for her, and if she's able to redshirt the year and be able to have an extra year in the season, that'd be really nice for her.
I think that will force everybody to step up and want to be the next Juju, kind of be the next star for the women of Troy. So I would assume that they would all want to take on that role as being the team leader and want to play the best that they can.
Obviously, after last season when she had the season-ending ACL tear, I was looking forward to her coming back this season and us giving it another run at the chip, but unfortunately it doesn't look like she's going to be part of that, so I don't know how it's going to play out now.
Her loss means so much for the Trojans, but I'm still confident the ladies of Troy will come out on top this season.
That's absolutely going to be a huge loss for the Trojans. And if they want even a chance in producing half of what they did last year, they're going to need the new kids on the block to step up. Here they are, Jazzy Davidson and London Jones. Davidson put up 29, 9, and 3 as a do-it-all guard during her senior season in high school. London Jones brings a totally different asset to the Trojans, and that's experience. In her 3 years with UCLA, she averaged 9.6 points per game, largely from her stellar three-point shooting. All eyes will be on true freshman Jazzy Davidson. The Naismith first-team All-American was the first-ranked player in her high school class after putting up monster numbers in high school. Just as decorated as Juju Watkins when she came out of high school, can Jazzy possibly fit into that vacated role left behind? And USC will also look toward London Jones, this time though for D1 and tournament experience. The senior transfer from UCLA is a threat from deep, racking up a team-leading 72 three-pointers on 35% shooting in 2024.
I don't think you can be entirely surprised because of the timing of her ACL injury, it coming in March, and then you bring in a player like London Jones, who has been there and done that at the highest level at UCLA. So I think there is a lot of promise for USC, and I think it can be a really, really good season for the Trojans.
This is possibly the biggest season-ending injury that women's college basketball has seen in a very, very long time. Both Adam and Nia joining me for this. Nia, I'll start with you. Is there any chance that USC, first of all, competes, but even can they bounce back at all?
I have no doubt about it. The Trojans were the best team in the Big Ten last season, and Lindsay Gottlieb has some tricks up her sleeve. Also, we have Jazzy Davidson. She's an awesome player, and I think that all the different playing styles of all these players will really add depth to a really potent offense for this team.
That's definitely some confidence. Adam, what about you? How confident are you in that?
Yeah, and it was really interesting. Last year, Juju Watkins got injured halfway through the NCAA tournament, but now Coach Gottlieb and the Trojans have had a full offseason of preparation without Juju Watkins running plays, running sets, and it'll be interesting to see how the Trojans can use these newcomers that you guys just talked about to go forward and have a successful run in the NCAA tournament this upcoming season.
I mean, as a Trojan fan, I really hope you're right. The thing that scares me, though, is USC really relied on that one player. They were not a South Carolina-type team with a bunch of different awesome players. They had one player who kind of carried that team through March. You're going to need Jazzy Davidson to be that player. She reminds me a lot of Juju Watkins, so sure hope that she can kind of fill that role. The Trojans have just over a month to prepare before the season kicks off with a home matchup against New Mexico State on November 4th. But not too long after, USC has to be locked in against the feared South Carolina and Notre Dame squads.
The football Trojans enjoy a bye week this weekend after falling 4-1 on the season. Hopefully this time will allow the team to reset before hosting a potent Michigan squad next weekend. While USC's offense was outstanding, Makai Lemon is a walking highlight reel. Defensive failures across the board cost the Trojans a win. USC failed to capitalize, losing to the Fighting Illini 34-32. I'm not too worried about the Trojans offensively. They sit at third in the country in total offense with 565 yards a game, are fifth in passing, and 17th in rushing. And it wasn't a one-man show, with Mayava, Lemon, and Wayman Jordan all contributing huge numbers. On the other hand, that Trojan defense has some work to do. They were unable to stop the run, giving up over 500 total yards last weekend. The corners struggled on their one-on-one matchups, and don't even get me started on the penalties. Nolan, I'll take it to you first. Do you think that eliminating these penalties is the key to the Trojans salvaging their season?
I mean, obviously, I said so last week. Last week the Trojans were first in the Big Ten in both penalties per game and penalty yardage per game. So obviously it's going to be huge. But I think if there's anything we learned from watching this last game, the defense is just not going to be good. I know Kamari Ramsey was out, and you can argue that had an impact. But either way, this is not a good defensive unit. So yes, limiting penalties is going to help take this unit from totally abysmal to just below average. But at the end of the day, you're going to need offensive firepower, which the Trojans have. But I hate to say it, but limiting penalties is not going to make this defense good. It'll just make it less bad and less susceptible to giving up big plays.
It's important to note that they racked up 8 penalties for 69 yards, and through 5 weeks of play, it's been 41 penalties for 172 yards. I'll take it to you next, Adam. They have a brutal run of games these next couple weeks. They have at Michigan at home, at Notre Dame, and they also have at Nebraska. What do you think is the most important of these 3 games for the Trojans to win?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, it's an absolutely brutal stretch. You know, Notre Dame being the biggest rivals of the Trojans on the road is going to be tough. Nebraska on the road, that's going to be an unreal environment. Definitely tough for the Trojans. But I think the biggest matchup out of those 3 by far is the bounce-back game next weekend against Michigan at home. You know, last season, the Trojans season started to unravel at the Big House when they lost to Michigan in an absolute heartbreaking game with a last-second touchdown for the Wolverines. I think the Trojans are going to be out for blood and looking for revenge, and they're going to have to if they're going to want to get the season back on track after a very tough loss against Illinois.
Nolan, I'll finish with you. What do you think the key is to the Trojans cleaning up these late game miscues and actually finishing games?
The biggest thing is clock management to me, and I've seen this in my 4 years at USC. Lincoln Riley cannot manage the clock, and we absolutely saw that against Illinois. Obviously, you want to say the Trojans need a better defense. I'd love to say that. Then you don't put yourself in a position to poorly manage the clock. But that's way easier said than done. That's going to take years. All you can do right now, keep your offensive firepower, manage the clock, keep the ball in your hands until the end of the game because you trust your offense, you don't trust your defense.
I still have faith in USC. Even in defeat, the Trojans are putting up offensive numbers that rank among the very best in college football.
Win or loss, I absolutely love breaking down USC football. But what I love even more is watching a film breakdown. Liam?
Another edition of X's and O's. I'm Liam Irvin. A lot can be blamed for the USC loss this weekend, but Nolan, let's talk about the defense, specifically the focus between the defensive line balance and the secondary. It's no secret that the defensive line is a strength to this defense. Let's go to something positive from 2 weeks ago against Purdue. This is a 4-man front right here, and Brown right here needs some time in the pocket to buy. So what he's going to do is sit back under his protection. He thinks everything's good. 4-man front. He has time, but no, look at this. Christian Pierce screaming off the edge, a safety blitz. Cameron Crawford drops back into coverage, and the defense is in his zone coverage. So he needs some time. Brown in the pocket. He's not going to get it with Christian Pierce off the edge. A sack. That's Danton Lynn using his creativity. Let's go to this week against Illinois. Luke Altmaier, a spread offense. And what do you do right here? You're in man coverage for the USC defense. You got to get to the quarterback right here as soon as possible. But unfortunately, they motion the tight end across. And look at the matchup right here. Braylon Conley in single coverage against a bigger receiver, the slant over the middle. Sitting on your couch at home, you can see this is a touchdown if Altmaier is able to get it off. Not enough time being vied for the defensive line to do their work and get to the quarterback. Unfortunately for the Trojans, an easy touchdown for Illinois. So overall, listen, the sack percentage for the Trojans still 9.5%. That defensive line good for 13th in college football. But if the man coverage trend continues, it's about as easy as it gets for opponents, especially as the schedule gets more difficult. But coming up, Maribel Flores and company provide you with this week's top plays. And the pool or the pitch, Terrence and Casey go at it for this week's Trojan of the Week. All that and more coming up next.
Welcome back, Sports Scene. I'm your host, Nia Satterfield-Brown, and I'm sending it over to Adam for his Trojan top plays.
Yeah, well, it was a busy week for USC athletics, highlighted by 3 top plays, in my opinion. Now, first, Illinois looked like they had the game won. Colin Dixon broke free down the left sideline, but out of nowhere, Christian Pierce, the safety, hawked Dixon down and made the tackle. The Trojans ended up forcing a fumble later in that drive and almost won the game because of it, even though they lost. Definitely a play to remember. Next, going over to the pitch at Rawlinson, Maribel Flores scored an absolute screamer of a free kick into the top right corner. Her coach said it was one of the best free kicks she's ever seen when coaching soccer. Now, finally, going back to Illinois, play 3, and in my opinion, the play of the week, is one of the most genius play designs I've ever seen. Wayman Jordan lines up in the Wildcat, sprints to the right, and flips it back to Jaden Mayava, who finds Makai Lemon after the flea flicker, who makes 3 guys miss and sprints into the end zone for a 75-yard touchdown. What a play that was. It did end up getting called back, as we can see from the flag. But again, it was very unfortunate. And, you know, the USC Trojans ended up having a very solid job. And again, the Trojans had plenty of possessions, but again, Makai Lemon was the highlight. Now going forward for our Trojan forecast for this week, it starts off pretty empty. You know, Monday and Tuesday, there is no games being played for anybody, but we start off on Wednesday when the USC Trojans tennis team kicks off their season with a huge tournament in a neutral ground. Next on Friday, USC travels up to Eugene and looks to build off of the momentum where they've won their last 2 games, looking to win a huge in-conference match against Oregon. Next up on Saturday, the volleyball team is at home against Purdue, who they recently split a road trip, 1 win against Ohio State and a loss at Penn State. But again, they're looking to get right back into it before on Sunday, the USC water polo team has an in-conference matchup against the Cal Bears. It'll be a packed week of Trojans sports. But again, it is now time for everyone's favorite segment of the show. We'll toss it over to Casey and Terrence to debate who was the Trojan of the week.
Well, it's my favorite time of the week back. Trojan of the week, back for a little more spice and intrigue. As we welcome you to the pit, it's appropriate that I'm dressed in dark because we're here for Casey's funeral with my Trojan of the week, Maribel Flores. This past week, Flores did her best Messi impression. Free kick off to the top bins. My goodness. Against Rutgers, she's going to take on the defense, finds Jaden Anderson, who puts the Trojans up 2 games, 2 goal involvements for the junior.
I'm swimming to the pool and taking men's water polo star Strahinja Krstić as my Trojan of the week. Krstić is only a freshman and already a 3-time MPSF newcomer of the week. Let's crunch the numbers. This week, Krstić had 3 goals, an assist, and 2 steals in a pair of road wins. And he wasn't doing this against soft competition either. USC took down number 10 Pacific and number 8 UC Davis, and itself is ranked number 3 in the country. USC water polo is 12-1. Krstić is only a freshman and doing all of these things, Terrence. As demonstrated, let's let you go first.
Oh, okay, so I'd love to go first. If we're talking about pure aura of what someone spews of the Trojan of the week, that is definitely a factor in this debate. Oh, it's Maribel Flores, easily. She does a fantastic goal. Oh, my goodness. As Adam mentioned, her coach said it was one of the best goals he has ever seen. It was fantastic.
I like the pick, but you don't get style points in sports.
You very much do. Casey, you were on the call for that game, if I'm not mistaken.
I was.
Were you not going crazy for that goal?
I was, but let's break it down, though. She and her team beat 2 unranked teams that are at the bottom of the Big Ten, whereas Krstić and the USC men's water polo team beat 2 ranked.
Is down there at the bottom of the Big Ten. Very disappointing season so far.
Yeah, but they were.
And I would say because they're playing their similar level of competition, it is just very similar to them beating top teams. But because USC is also a top team in water polo.
But USC women's soccer was ranked as high as number 4 this year, so they were clearly a top team at some point.
Dropped down.
They dropped.
What are they ranked now?
They're unranked. But you know who isn't unranked? USC men's water polo.
What are they ranked?
They're number 3.
See, but they're actually definitively better than their competition. Yes, they're playing top
They're
competition.
playing ranked teams.
But they're definitively better, so of course they're going to beat them. Now, you mentioned he did have a great game. I will give you credit. He did play great. it's nowhere near as cool as what Maribel Flores is doing.
It's not about being cool. It's about being the best.
100%.
He's been MPSF Newcomer of the Week 3 times as a freshman.
That's fine.
3 times.
That's
and it was this week as well.
I mean, what's cooler, a top bins free kick or struggling to throw the ball? Oh, it goes in that. Yes,
come on. You have no respect for water polo. You have to tread water.
Really. It's very
and
hard,
score
don't get me
and
wrong.
defend.
But if we're talking about straight up cool, do you know how many times I've tried to kick a ball top bins off maybe a free kick?
Your athletic abilities have nothing to, or lack thereof, have nothing to do with this.
Don't disrespect.
I'm sorry. With all due respect. But Maribel Flores is great, but at the end of the day, her team really has struggled this year.
That doesn't matter
Water
about her
polo
team.
hasn't, and Christine has been huge.
We're talking about of what she contributed.
He was
to
Newcomer
the
of the Week in MPSF.
Yeah, that's mediocre.
Beat 2 ranked teams. They're ranked. I think
because
that's way more important.
Because they're a higher ranked team, they're definitively better beating teams. I don't know if it's that great of achievement as the USC.
But isn't it more important to beat ranked teams than beat not ranked teams? I think that's logic.
I do agree with that,
sense.
but I don't think the logic of that because they are definitively those are ranked teams, it's definitively better because USC women's soccer I think is at that level of competition of your Rutgers.
They're
and your
not
Maryland.
though. They have better records now than both of them.
Because they beat them.
Okay, well, going into it was unranked
Flores.
versus unranked, and then water polo ranked versus ranked. I think the math isn't mathing for you, whereas for me,
numbers are back.
I'm a numbers guy, as you know, and
2 goal involvements or 2 games, excuse me. Is that not impressive to you?
He had steals.
We're
he
talking
had
Messi,
goals.
We're dribbling through the defense. We're scoring in the top right. Is that not?
You don't have any respect for defense because Kirstich had
But that's
steals.
going to do it for us here at Trojan of the Week. And we do have a new segment, Casey, if you want to introduce us.
Yeah, we have a brand new segment here on Sports Scene as we have a wheel here present, and wherever we spin it, we will talk about the discussion point that the arrow points to. So, Terrence, do you want to let it rip?
Oh, I would absolutely love to. It's got a good spin. Ooh, that was a nice little spin. Now, okay, see, I can't read that from this angle. What does that say?
I can read. It is the biggest surprise in football so far. A player.
Okay, it's a good one.
Want me to go first?
Love for you to go first.
I have a player in a position that maybe doesn't get enough respect, and that's at the kicker position. Caden Chinnington, the starting kicker for USC, went down with injury before the season started. They brought in Ryan Sayuri, who initially wasn't on scholarship, and he's done a great job so far. He's hit from 40 plus. He has done a really good job. He's missed 1 field goal, but he's hit all of his extra points. He was on Trojans Live this week. A really good guy, a guy you can tell is really dialed in and focused. And USC has had kicking problems the past couple of years, so he's my biggest surprise.
I do like that, especially a guy coming from a walk-on being fantastic, really thrown into the situation. Now, I don't know if we should call this that much of a surprise, but I do think because Jakeem Stewart has just been so fantastic, he has really leveled up my expectations. Yes, he was a 5-star defensive lineman. I think he has blown those out of the water. He missed the first game versus Missouri State. We thought he'd go off against a lowly Bears team. He has really been fantastic in these Big Ten teams. You saw he had that scoop against Illinois. If he had tossed it back, maybe USC could score it, but that's no problem. I think he's been fantastic in that defensive line, a unit which at times, especially last game, really struggled. I thought he has been my surprise because he's been so great.
Such a young guy as well, but you never know what you're going to get on Spin the Wheel. Anyways, next up on Sports Scene, the WNBA playoffs are heating up, and Mia has the scoop on all the action.
And the team takes a look at the Big Ten standings. All that and more coming up on Sports Scene.
Welcome back from our break here at Sports Scene. Mia is over in the media center for info on the WNBA finals.
The WNBA Finals are set. It'll be a battle in the desert as the Las Vegas Aces will take on the Phoenix Mercury. The Mercury are led by triple-double machine Alyssa Thomas. Additionally, 3 players are averaging over 13 points per game. Despite only having 2 returning players this year, the Mercury have been playing like a team who's been together for 10. On the other side, the Aces are in the finals for the 3rd time in 4 years. Vegas is led by 4-time MVP Asia Wilson. Wilson and guard Jackie Young combined for 67 points in their recent elimination game against the Fever. If one thing's for sure, this game will be a shootout. The Aces are averaging 35.1% from the 3 compared to the Mercury's 34%. They're similar statistically, but the difference between these two teams are experience. The Aces are used to the final stage while the Mercury isn't. Still, Phoenix was able to take down the 2 biggest threats this season, and Vegas has been hot since the regular season. The Aces have experience on their side, but the Mercury have what looks like an experienced team. If I had to take one, I'm taking Phoenix. They've already stood the test of the 2 best teams in the league, so who's to say they can't take the test of the Aces? However, it won't be an easy route. The game will go to a full 7 games where the Mercury will stun the Aces and take the title on the road in Vegas. This is not how many people expected the finals to shake out, so it only makes it that much more interesting. The finals will be a best-of-7 game series starting on Friday in Vegas. Now, off to Nolan for a look around the Big Ten.
USC football has a bye this week, so let's take a look around the conference. The Big Ten boasts 4 teams in the top 10 of the AP poll and 6 in the top 25. Ohio State and Oregon share the top 2 spots, with Penn State and Indiana not too far behind. Michigan and Illinois are both one-loss teams that squeezed their way into the AP poll. Aside from the obvious choices, we've selected 3 Big Ten squads to watch out for.
I'm going with the Indiana Hoosiers. They're the first in the Big Ten, and their quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, is high on my list for this year's Heisman. Through 5 games, he's thrown for over 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns. That's been awesome.
And my team to watch is Nebraska, led by star quarterback Dylan Raiola. The Cornhuskers lead the Big Ten in passing offense and passing defense. The Huskers sit at 3-1 after a 30-27 loss against Michigan. Nebraska never led in the game, so Michigan didn't have to throw the ball. But I expect the Cornhuskers to come out swinging in the future and force opposing quarterbacks into key mistakes.
Well, my Big Ten team to watch this week is the Maryland Terrapins. They are flying under the radar very quietly as they are one of 3 undefeated teams in the conference alongside powerhouses Ohio State and Oregon. They faced their first real test this season, however, being a touchdown underdog at home against Washington.
We heard a bit about your guys' teams, but why don't you get into some more detail? Go talk a little bit. First, I'll start with you, Nia. A little bit more about your choice. Why don't you defend it a little bit?
I mean, the stats speak for themselves. Fernando Mendoza is killing it in the Big Ten. He's a dagger. He has just this preciseness that I haven't seen across the rest of the conference, honestly. His legs also, he can really move on the ground super well. He has a top-notch pocket presence. He's really just performing well for his team, and, you know, I think they're going to take the chip. I don't know. It's getting pretty chippy out here.
Wow, that's a bold take. Adam, what about you? I'm not sure if you can top how bold that was, but let's hear you defend your choice.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, but speaking of quarterbacks, true freshman quarterback Malik Washington is lighting it up. He has over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, and only 1 interception so far this season. He's only a true freshman. He's the first true freshman to start for Maryland in 13 years, and he is absolutely doing amazing. As I mentioned, one of only 3 undefeated teams in the Big Ten, and they're still not ranked. It'll be interesting to see how they can fare against a tough Washington team who played Ohio State very close, but again, this time they are at home, and they're looking to get a big statement win to hopefully jump into the AP poll top 25.
Yeah, definitely some big players there. But for me, Dylan Raiola is just so awesome, and it's not just the offense there. The defense also, again, #1 passing defense in the Big Ten. I know that loss against Michigan was there, but if the Cornhuskers can come off to a lead, I think they'll be awesome. Certainly some big games coming for these Big Ten teams. We'll figure out who's legit very, very soon as conference play continues. But that's all for today's edition of Sports Scene. I'm Nolan Ezra.